Okay, so in this word problem, we have an athletic field that's 40 yards wide and 90 yards long. If a lawnmower cuts a border around the outside of the field, how wide must the border be so that 1/3 of the lawn is cut? Okay, so let's draw a picture here. So the field space is 90 yards by 40 yards. And it's going to cut a border around the field. Now we're going to assume that the border is going to be the same width all the way around. So, one moment. Okay, so we're going to cut a border around the field. So we'll let that width of the border be x. So like all the way around, we'll call that x. Alright, so we want the area of that border to be 1/3 of the lawn. So the entire lawn has an area of 3,600 square yards. So if we like divide that by 3, that means that 1,200 yards are going to be cut, and then 2,400 yards is going to be uncut. So like uncut, cut. Alright, so this part on the inside is not going to be cut, and that's going to be 2,400 yards. So I think the best way to go about this would be to write the equation for the uncut part. Meaning, if this whole thing is 40 yards wide, if we subtract x and x, we're left with 40 minus 2x as that width of that part of the field. And if we know that this whole side here is 90 yards, and then we like cut off x and x, then this part here would be 90 minus 2x. So the total area, so we gotta erase that part, that part. So the total area of that inside part is going to be, well, we know it's 2,400 yards, and we can express it as 40 minus 2x times 90 minus 2x. Alright, and now it's a word problem, so like at this point I would use the calculator to solve that equation. But you could multiply this out and write it in as a quadratic. Like you could also get 3,600 is equal to, so you FOIL it out. So you get 3,600 equals 2,400, and then get 0 on one side. So you could solve this quadratic using the quadratic formula. You could try to factor it. But anytime you have a word problem, you're going to have a calculator. So let me show you how you could solve this with the calculator. Okay, now if you have a TI Nspire CAS, you could solve it using the solve function. So you'd go menu, algebra, solve, and then type in the equation, which was 2,400 is equal to 90 minus 2x times 40 minus 2x. And then you have to do comma at the end of the equation what you're solving for, x. And it tells us x could be 5 or 60, alright, which is interesting. That's weird. I wonder why there's two answers. I wonder if I typed it in right. Alright, so there's no typo here. It's just that one of the widths of the field is 40, so it can't be 60. So 5 is the answer. Now, if you don't have a TI Nspire, where you have a solve function, you could always graph any equation by graphing both sides. So if I graph y equals 2,400, and then f of x or y equals 90 minus 2x times 40 minus 2x, then I could graph both sides and see where they intersect. Now I don't see anything right now, so I'm going to have to zoom out. You could try to do zoom fit, and zoom fit will usually zoom out to see both graphs where they intersect, and then go menu, analyze graph, intersection, and then you could see that, alright, they intersect at the point 5 comma around 2,400, which means when you cut a border of 5, that area is going to be 2,400.